When someone asks you to say some names of the top global EV makers, you'll come up with either Tesla, Hyundai, Ford, or Volvo. But you might not even know about one Chinese company, on which almost every giant EV maker depends blindly. And without that name, most of the EV production would literally come to a pause. That is CATL, the world's largest EV battery producer.
Chinese electric vehicle battery maker CATL in high demand on its first day of trading on Hong Kong Stock Exchange.
A blockbuster, a mega debut from a company that's not immune from tensions.
Chinese EV battery giant CATL saw its stock jump in Tuesday's debut on the Hong Kong market.
You know, the average price of an EV in the US market is around $56,000. and around 40% of the total cost you're paying for the batteries they have. And what's even more interesting is that Chinese company holds almost 38% of the global EV battery market share. Still, it somehow stays out of the spotlight. But recently, CATL has come under the blacklist of Pentagon despite being a low-profile dominator. In 2025, the US Department of Defense has added them to the list of Chinese military companies. So now, let's know a bit more about what's CATL, how they are dominating the industry, and why the US government see a battery company as a national security concern. Well, the company was started in 2011 by one founder named Zheng Yukun. A guy who came from a poor village, has seen poverty during his childhood, but now is the founder of world's most powerful EV battery empire. Zheng was born in 1968 in a small village in Ningde, Fujian, China. He earned a PhD in condensed matter physics and began his journey in battery technology in 1999 by founding Amperex Technology Limited. ATL focused on lithium-ion batteries for gadgets like laptops and MP3 players. The company grew fast and started supplying big names like Apple. In 2005, ATL was acquired by Japanese tech company TDK, but Zheng stayed on as a manager. By 2011, China had started promoting electric vehicles through strong government policies. Zheng saw this as a big opportunity, so he spun off ATL's EV battery division and created a new company, CATL, or Contemporary Amperex Technology Limited. He set up its headquarters in his hometown Ningde, which helped him to lower costs and get support from local officials. He even named the company Ningde Era to reflect its roots. Just after 1 year of founding, and it didn't take long for the company to make a mark. Just 1 year later, in 2012, it signed a major deal with BMW to supply batteries for electric vehicles. Then, in 2015, the company made a smart move by acquiring Brump Recycling. That gave CATL the ability to recover valuable materials like lithium and cobalt from old batteries. By 2018, the company stepped onto the global stage by opening its first overseas factory in Germany.
China's CATL, the world's largest battery supplier, has set up shop in the German state of Thüringen.
And when they partnered with Tesla and announced plans for a 1,000,000-mile battery, the move turned heads across the industry. In 2023, CATL teamed up with Ford to license its LFP tech for a battery factory in Michigan. That same year, it pledged to make its core operations carbon neutral by 2050. Its Yibin plant even gained recognition from the World Economic Forum as a model for zero-carbon manufacturing. Then came a defining year, 2025. The Chinese company launched a bunch of next-level batteries, including the Freevoy dual power battery with a jaw-dropping 932-mile range, a sodium-ion battery under the Naxtra series, and a fast-charging option that added 323 miles in just 5 minutes. And all this acquisition, partnership, and innovation have built up a big, very big empire for CATL. By the third quarter of 2024, the company had locked more than 37% of the global EV market share, which is way ahead of names like South Korea's LG Energy Solution and China's own BYD. Well, the main reason behind this surge is CATL's huge production capacity, smart innovations, and the ability to keep costs low. They're producing over 300 gigawatt hours of batteries every year. That's enough juice to power millions of electric vehicles. One of their biggest advantages is the LFP batteries. These avoid using pricey metals like cobalt and nickel, which makes them up to 30% cheaper than many alternatives. And that's a big win for both car makers and buyers trying to make EVs more affordable. And now, the company is supplying batteries to nearly every major EV brand you can name. Tesla, Volkswagen, BMW, Stellantis, NIO, even BYD. Say for example, Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y. Their budget-friendly standard range versions run on CATL's LFP batteries, and they've also partnered with the American multinational company, Ford, to make a strong presence in the US. In Europe, they're building a huge 100 gigawatt-hours factory in Hungary to support local automakers. Back home in China, they're teaming up with Sinopec to roll out 10,000 battery swapping stations. So many things that you can't even count. CATL has also been making some smart investments. For example, they put $345.6 million into NIO's battery swapping network, which lets drivers quickly swap out a dead battery for a fully charged one. Their impact is showing up in unexpected places too. However, this Chinese battery giant is just sitting on the peak of dominance. But in January 2025, CATL's momentum hit a political wall. The U.S. Department of Defense added the company to its Section 1260H list of Chinese military companies, with the label officially kicking in by June 2026. This move, backed by lawmakers like Senator Marco Rubio, wasn't just about batteries. It was about national security. The U.S. government is worried about CATL's ties to China's military civil fusion strategy. There are also allegations of links to the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps, which is an organization accused of forced labor, and fears that CATL's tech could be used for surveillance or even attacks on power grids. For now, the blacklist doesn't immediately stop CATL from doing business with U.S. companies like Tesla or Ford, since commercial deals aren't directly banned. But it does stir the pot. Any U.S. company working with CATL now risks being disqualified from defense contracts. We're already seeing the ripple effects. Duke Energy, for example, had to remove CATL batteries from Camp Lejeune in 2024 to avoid problems. Ford's $3.5 billion Michigan plant, built around CATL's tech, is suddenly under political scrutiny. But things aren't that simple as the ban on Huawei or TikTok. CATL is way bigger than that, and so many big names are involved with the company. There aren't many alternatives that can match CATL's scale or pricing. Companies like LG or Panasonic just can't deliver the same volume at the same cost. And that could mean pricier EVs and a slower rollout in the US. When you look at the bigger picture, this isn't just about CATL. It's part of the ongoing tension between the US and China. Even though CATL managed to raise $4.6 billion through a stock listing in Hong Kong in May 2025, it still landed on a US blacklist. That caused some backlash, especially for big American banks like JP Morgan that were involved in the deal. Now, there's talk that China might respond by putting its own restrictions on key battery materials. If that happens, it could seriously shake up the entire global electric vehicle supply chain. Because of all this pressure, CATL might start focusing more on Europe and Asia. As for the US, this blacklist could backfire. It might end up cutting American car makers off from the world's most advanced and efficient battery supplier. CATL has even hinted at possibly taking legal action to fight the ban, just like Xiaomi did successfully in 2021. At the end of the day, this is all part of the US trying to separate itself from Chinese tech, even if that decision brings big economic risks. So we can definitely say that CATL isn't just dominating the industry. It also holds some serious power that could hurt US companies if the Pentagon decides to tighten things up. They are going good, keeping battery prices low, and forming partnerships with almost every major EV brand out there. But the question is, can a battery company actually be a threat for a country like the US? We'll leave that for you to think about. If you already have an answer, drop it in the comments. And if you don't want to see CATL getting banned in the US anytime soon, Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.